preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. You see, the cross has an offense. When you preach the cross, it offends the flesh. It offends Adamic nature. It offends the worldly. It offends the people that are still attached to this world. And that's why Christ, in his days, he made discipleship something that demands self-denial from his followers. Let's look at Matthew chapter 16. In Matthew, in chapter 16, let's read from verse 24. Matthew chapter 16, we're reading from verse 24. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. And so you see there, Jesus Christ told the disciples, the people that were following him, and told them very clearly that, look, if you are following me, I'm going to make some demands on you. If any man will follow me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and then follow me. You have to follow me and meet up this requirement. So in fact, Jesus said that someone who follows him not on Christ's terms is not worthy of him. Jesus made it very plain that if anybody is following him, but that person is not following him on the basis of his demands, the person is just following Christ and it does not keep to the demands of Christ, Christ says that person is not worthy of him. Look at Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10, look at verse 37 and verse 38, and it says, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Verse 38, and he taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. And so Jesus Christ makes it very clearly in these passages that those people who are following him, but they are not following him on his own terms, they are just following Christ on their own terms, those people are not worthy of Christ. Therefore, we should look at this subject of true discipleship and self-denial, and then determine the mind of God on these subjects. I pray that the Lord will help us to understand this message in Jesus' name. I look at this message under three subheadings. Number one, we shall look at self-denial and the marks of true discipleship. Self-denial and the marks of true discipleship. Number two, selfishness, the main track to downfall. Selfishness, the main track to downfall. And then finally we'll look at sanctification, the major thirst of true disciples. Sanctification, the major thirst of true discipleship. Let's look at the first point. You see, self-denial and the marks of true discipleship. Self-denial is among the other marks of true discipleship. And so the moment someone becomes a true disciple, these marks become part of his life. You will discover that he becomes, a true disciple. And then a true disciple, who is a true disciple? A true disciple is someone who has followed Christ, his master. So, number one, he is a follower of Christ. So if you are a true disciple, that means you have followed Christ. And when Jesus Christ was on earth, look at the way the disciples he had. Look at the way that he had them. In Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. I'm reading from verse 18. Matthew chapter 4 from verse 18. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they, that's Simon, Peter, and Andrew, his brother, and they straightway left their nets and they followed him. And so that's what happens when you know the way Jesus Christ made his own disciples. He came to these two people. They were fishermen. They had their boat there, they had their nets there, they had other implements there they were using to fish. And then he told them, follow me. And they left their nets and followed him. Verse 21. And going on from thence, he saw other two brethren, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in a ship with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. And he called them, and they immediately left the sheep and their father, and did what? Followed him. And so you see, in the first instance we see they left some things. In this second instance we see they left a human being. And so a true follower of Jesus Christ, he is a follower. Follow Jesus. He had a call from Jesus and he had followed Jesus. So there are things normally to leave in order to follow Jesus Christ. And there are some people that you must leave if they are going to follow Jesus Christ. And then number two, a disciple is a learner. He learns the teachings of his master. That's what we are told in this same book of Matthew. Jesus Christ was calling some people in Matthew chapter 11. Look at the way he called them. Matthew chapter 11. I read from verse 28. Come unto me. You see that? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will do what? I will give you rest. So that's what happens when he calls you. He wants to give you rest. But it doesn't end there. Verse 29. It says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. He said, now the moment you begin to follow me, you are going to become a student. You are going to begin to learn from me and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So the moment you follow Jesus Christ, you become a follower, but then you become a learner. You are now a student in the school of Jesus. He's going to teach you some things about himself. He's going to